Hi there. Better look straight at you. I'm not feeling that well tonight, and that's one of the reasons why I'm staying back from the Key of David meeting. Another reason is, at the moment, I'm not being allowed to speak publicly in the Key of David meetings, and we hope to get to the bottom of that. But today, the blog, which a lot of you have been reading for a while now, has actually reached 40,000 hits, which seems incredible. Well, bearing in mind the subject, there are many blogs with a good deal more hits than mine, but not on the subject that's quite as far out as what I've been talking about. It's very significant what's happened today. Well, I think so, and I wanted to share it with you. There is definitely a Melchizedek order. There's an order where Jesus runs things from. He runs things, and it doesn't quite dovetail in with the machinery and the structures of the church. You'd like it to, but every so often the church has to undergo quite a shake-up. This is the church worldwide, and also local expressions of the church too, sort of catch up with what's happening in the Melchizedek order. Because Jesus actually doesn't hang around for people. He's full of love, but he does have purposes and timings, and I just wanted to share a bit about that. It's difficult if you've got a more prophetic bent, or has been. I'm actually very thankful that there haven't been too much play made of prophets in the last 30 or 40 years, because it is only one strand of things, and I just find it tedious. You know, John Paul Jackson, Rick Joyner, they're quite big names now, and they're selling a lot of CDs and DVDs and stuff like that, and I just I don't know. I am going for the body myself, and in the third level, which is what we're talking about here on this blog, there really is no ministry. Isn't that appalling? You just spent 3 years at seminary. You don't want to hear that, do you? Well, perhaps you should have allowed Jesus to bring you forth in the Spirit himself, rather than listening to the training of men. That's a very harsh thing to say, isn't it? But it's the truth. When we look at the Bible, people were brought forth in the Spirit themselves. God always uses men to transfer a word, but ultimately it's our hunger for God, and God responds to that, and then he puts even more hunger and more fire within us. So we're kind of glued really to following him around. You know, at a certain point in our moving around with Jesus, when we're like the apostles, aren't we? We think, well, I've given up such a lot, or I feel I have. Where can we go? You know, this is it. And we follow Jesus around, don't we? Now, but one thing about the prophetic side of things is there is timing. Things do not continue just the way they always have. There is a very definite timing. Jesus brought in 100 years ago a totally new realm into the church worldwide simultaneously. The places I know about were the Black Forest, Wales, and Azusa Street. That's the ones I know about. And it was a move of God, and a totally new level, a level of functioning in the Holy Spirit again, with the supernatural realm, the gifts and the ministries being brought out of the cupboard. Well, of course, in the 60s, when things were looking really bad in the denominational churches, God just ignores the bad state of affairs and says, okay, and he just blows, and right across all the denominations the Holy Spirit has moved, and many people baptized in the Spirit, and that became the charismatic movement. But you know, quite early on in the 50s, with Watchman Nee, who had learnt some stuff from Jesse Penn Lewis, a guy called Norman Grubb, Rees Howells, again touched by Jesse Penn Lewis. Jesse Penn Lewis came out of the Welsh Revival, and a lot of people condemn her. They think that she was the main cause that the Welsh Revival wound up. I don't think that. I don't think the Holy Spirit has told me that. I think the Welsh Revival ultimately wound up because nobody wanted to go into the third level. They just didn't want it. They were quite happy staying with the gifts, staying with all the other things, and that was how they wanted it. And so the first time I heard, I mean, obviously I'd read Normal Christian Life by Watchman Nee, but in 1974, I think it was, that there was an Ann Arbor, Michigan New Covenant magazine with an article about the third level, which I thought was amazing. I was reading what was about 18 or 19, and I thought, no, it'll be 16. And I thought, wow. And it really started opening my eyes. I thought, well, nobody's saying this. What's going on? And so we carry on, and I just feel in my spirit that it's unstoppable. You know, you might not like the substance of my blog, you might not like what I'm talking about, but on the net we've all started finding each other, and we were there, and no one taught each other. We were taught by the Holy Spirit, and this is what we're expecting: a whole new move and a level and a change of gear in the church. That's what the Holy Spirit said to us. So we're not going to argue. We're just going to believe it in, and it's coming in like, you know, in the order of when Elijah was believing for rain. You know, he sent a servant up and looked for, saw first of all a tiny pinprick of a cloud, and then you kept sending him up to look at it, look for it. And that's how I feel things are. It's gone from a pinprick when my message came out in 1989, which you can still listen to on the blog. It's on the side link there. To you know, it's going to be an inundation, and it's a whole understanding of the things that we needed to know just to live on this planet, which Jesus knew, and that was why Jesus' life worked. Most Christians' lives do not work. At some fundamental level, there's missing bits.